Three sessions. This is the administrative committee meeting. Roll call, we have a quorum. The mayor is on another engagement. Not sure about Daryl, not sure about Brian. But we have a quorum, so we're here to discuss resolution 2025-04, a resolution to adopt the updated employee handbook for the town of Allendale, South Carolina. This is a handbook that I have a copy of in front of me. What I would ask is Catherine, would you give us a little bit of background on how this evolved? What was involved in the development of this document?
Yes, thank you, Councilman Brown. So the employee handbook previously that the town had was adopted in 2015. Since 2015, there have been a lot of changes, both state and federally. The employee handbook that you've currently seen in front of you, there was a draft also done by the MRB group back in 2024. And it was also reviewed by Hainsworth Sinclair Boyd for both of those changes. So a lot of the recommendations that are in here are a combination of both the MRB group and our legal counsel review.
Okay.
And one of the main changes too that makes it a lot easier for everybody is to just we didn't have a table of contents before, so if we're talking about different pages and different attributes, you can easily go to those pages.
Okay. So the floor is open. Ask questions, give suggestions, talk about it. Thoughts?
So I'll go first.
Okay.
I know we've talked about this. I'm a little concerned about adopting this without, and I know you're gonna present the HR package to us hopefully next month. But it seems like, and maybe it is outlined somewhere else in detail and I'm overlooking it, but like, like on page 5, maybe it's page 5. We're under the complaint procedure and investigation. If we're adopting an HR process, how are we gonna spell that out in here? Where they are actually given the steps, like they go into paycheck, if we adopt it through paychecks, they go in and do the complaint. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I guess I'm just a little concerned that it's just a little too vague. Maybe it should be vague, but I feel like with that particular thing, because we've dealt with that a year or so ago, I just want to make sure the process is outlined. That's where we tripped up last time, is because there was a process, we didn't follow the process, or we were late to following the process. Does that make sense? Like it was supposed to be resolved in, I don't remember what it was, 10 days. We were supposed to have seen them within 10 days or something like that. And so I just want to make sure that's just a little bit more defined as best possible, just because that's already sort of a touchy subject.
I think that personally, we still need to adopt some sort of updated policy to be compliant with all of the federal guidelines when we do have other procedures in place. For like if we do adopt the HR package into that and having that specialist, you would then amend the resolution, the employee handbook to state like, if you have a complaint, this is who you have to contact. Because currently right now, it says you may do this by reporting it to the town administrator. I would then state like if they came to me, I would say, here's the process to go right with it. If we stay with paychecks or if we hire an HR manager or anything like that, we would adopt policies based on what we are currently using.
I guess my only concern is I don't want to keep kicking and I know you say you're gonna present it, but I just would like to have at least some definite of like, if we adopt this tonight, I plan to present HR process in September so that you guys can review the cost and if that's what you want to adopt.
Could we do it for like amending on page 5, to maybe do this by reporting it to the town administrator? Or the applicable HR representative for the town? To follow that process? Underneath complaint procedure of the investigation. Would that be like a catch-all to catch everything?
Where you can, at the end of that first paragraph you're talking about?
Yes.
Hmm.
Page 5 of the employee handbook,
5, but what part, we're on,
under complaint procedure of
Yeah.
investigation, that last sentence in the first paragraph. Well, the second to last sentence.
And what did you want to change it to?
To include for Councilwoman Helms' concern, like valid concerns, to say like you may do this by reporting it to the town administrator or applicable HR representative.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. The big thing is the state law has like a grievance procedure and you gotta live by that. This isn't part of that grievance. We do this is just to basically violated the personnel manual. You would make a complaint to her or other person. I think it's totally fine to someone to make a motion to amend the proposed personnel manual. They're just adopting some sort of resolution and council.
Yes.
That's not a problem.
Did that answer your question?
I think if we can add that language. And then still move forward with adopting an HR.
So you
process.
would do that, I think. Yeah, after 7:30, it comes with full council.
But she's not presenting the HR package to us in like September, but as long as that covers whatever, regardless of who it is, what we adopt, it
Yeah.
should cover, because it's not specific to the company.
And worst case, the nice thing about a resolution is you can amend it, like, you don't have to have it when you leave, so.
Okay.
That you're not involved in it, so.
so this handbook will refer to an HR
Process.
process description, policies and procedures. Describe what you're gonna be presenting in September.
So in September, because right now I am filling in as the HR representative,
Mhm.
in addition to being the supervisor. What Paychex offers as an additional package is to have a sole HR representative. So that any member of staff can go to that person, they can contact them through Paychex and they can say, lay out any of the reasons, like anything that they have questions related to the employee handbook. Or questions related to, if they have concerns related to supervision or managers or even grievances against like. Any policy, again, like, sorry, any policy against like, if they feel like they're being
Yeah.
harassed, if they feel like that they violated, the, like employment status. if they
Basically
got
provides a neutral third party.
So now
Makes a lot of sense.
Right.
My experience with employee handbooks has been minimal by choice. I am happy to defer to the HR experts. One thing that I've always observed is you have a handbook, which is kind of a summary. And that's what you give the employee on the day they start, and that's what they take home and put in their file. That handbook refers then to a much more robust, oftentimes a binder full of policies and procedures. So this is kind of a hybrid between those two. But I think we're recognizing that there's gonna be more pages of policies and procedures involved.
There would be more policies to come out of what Paychex would then state.
Yeah.
Is that health, like
Okay.
the formal procedure to move forward.
Cool.
Are we all good there?
Well,
You have something to say? Did that-
yeah, that's what you two not help, and we're looking at utilizing a payroll company to perform an agent function for the town.
it can be an add-on.
Okay,
Yeah.
and have any budget for that? Perfect.
No, she's gonna be presented for that in September.
Okay, currently there's nothing in the budget.
Correct.
Uh,
That is true.
Second, then, I guess to this. I mean, I'm used to, certainly, used to the way the handbook's back, I'm looking at the town, don't budget for 2025 right now. And, things over right then is right on, you stick with this kind of stuff. The table of contents should be proper, or should be formatted. So how do you want to do it, like an outline flight on the noodles and navies and shootings and whatever. But as an example, here's the town of those, and it says. Table of contents, this is land page on section 1.0, town mission and values philosophy, 1.1 mission statement, 1.2 is all equal opportunity, 1.3 is anti-harassment. You seem to follow and that what we've got in here, but it's just not formatted that way. So this, by the way, the example we just talked about, you can say we're not talking about. Just as an example, you say Roman numeral 2. Paragraph B1 on page whatever, and then we go, look, there it is, that's exactly what we got, that's not what we have. That's a simple thing, that's a formatting situation, so we'll make it easy, in my opinion. Other stuff with me, I have some concerns about things that are in it.
Oh, we're going
Things that are-
good page by page,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, how do y'all want to go about it? That's my overarching first off initiative.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Page 6.
um. I think that kind of was answered with the HR thing. I was gonna go ahead and skip to page 7.
Page 7.
Anyone else? So I have questions about employment status. Where we're talking about 40 hours per week, but we're only open 4 days a week. So does that mean people are working 4 10s or are they working remotely on Friday?
It's currently right now, employees are working Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. The 40-hour limit, is at least 40 hours per week is the. National standard for hours worked for 1 week, Sunday to Sunday.
Oh,
So
that-
if they're accumulating hours of how you calculate it is to state like. Full-time employment status is working at least 40 hours per week, but at the same time, we understand that our operating hours are Monday through Thursday.
So there. But I guess if I call Donna on Friday, is she gonna say, no, it's Friday, I don't, is she working remotely? Or she's
Currently
not?
right now, no,
So the work week is 36 hours
yes.
with a paid lunch,
Yes,
this proposed. So it's really 31 hours. The worth.
right now, no staff member takes a lunch break, so. But yeah,
So that would be 31 hours.
yes.
Well, can you get to that? I'm gonna get to that.
I guess it's just confusing because I thought we just didn't work in the office on Friday. Because, I mean, I've reached out to you on a Friday before, and so I guess but also I know that can be a violation if like, no, I don't work on Fridays, so.
For contacting me, I operate outside of the scope, so you can contact me basically essentially anytime. I'm a straight salary, I don't get paid overtime, I don't get paid, it's just a straight salary. That's it.
Right, but I'm just saying, we've talked about adding people, we've talked about adding a housing administrator, we're still kind of batting around utilities manager, is that also gonna include like whatever the clerk duties were, I guess. I would like for us to be a little bit more specific, because we don't follow a standard Monday through Friday 40-hour work week. So we either need to amend that to reflect the actual hours people are working, or we need to revisit being in the office on Fridays.
And I would also suggest that we amend that one sentence to reflect what we just said. Gives the appearance even. Employees are supposed to work 40 hours a week. And that's where the document, that's not the case, and that's not practice, I think that's not what's intended going forward. So that sentence is a little bit confusing. If it's meant to meet a federal standard, then it should say as much. And what was in Canada, we wanted, however, see the other section for what we really do. It's confusing. This is company.
I'm just making them
Sure.
And I probably defer to Matt for like how to change that sentence.
And again, I'm not saying we all have to answer all these questions, and I could have to defer it again, but these are the, now that I've read through everything.
What else on the document? The other one, 36 and out, we show in 39 hours. Real work, was 9 times, well, it was 36. Lunch break was 31 hours. Which is not good. So when you read this and then you see that and you go, wait. That needs to be fixed. So if this is just to read it that standard, then perhaps it should say so. This is as far as open. Yeah. And that's, as you mentioned.
Sunday to Sunday.
Sunday. 7 40 hours. Anything else you know?
Well, and I'm also wondering, should we change the language from full-time, to part-time, exempt, and non-exempt?
I don't know if we need to do that. I think we need to know which positions are exempt. I think you.
That could explain that on page 8, where it specifies what type of employee is exempt and not exempt.
There's few.
Right, no, yeah, we do talk about that, but are we talking about full-time? I'm just wondering, should we add the term exempt or non-exempt to also somewhere in this section?
I personally haven't seen it in the employee handbook to have it be like regular full-time, because it usually separates the classification for each employee after. So you'd be, it's 2 separate ones, it'd be
Okay.
regular, non-exempt, or part-time, non-exempt, or regular, non-exempt. Like, and when you give it to the specific employee.
And so this goes back to my question, if we're only working Monday through Thursday, and a non-exempt employee here says they can receive overtime pay for hours worked over a 40-hour work week. Is our work, where are we designating what our work week is? Does that mean they're working 4 10s Monday through Thursday? So they don't get overtime if they work 10 hours?
Hours of work is then on page 12, where the normal business hours are specified Monday to Thursday. However, I think what Calvin trying to get is maybe specifying, and the hours per week is maybe referencing it when we read format pages to say in this subsection, state hours worked would be full-time employees are in the status as specified as of the hours worked. Is that what you were getting at?
More or less, I think, I think the problem that these also have to stuff on page 7 about the, and the hiring recruiting, I guess, the specifications about what what's gonna be involved in that is to have the job description of all the description, job title, description of the duties and the qualifications that are required and maybe even the pay schedule. Somewhere, we also need that. Things that happen prior to hire. Periods when screenings. For things like, criminal background checks. Drug test. Now driver's license. Getting on the job, credit check. You went in, money, things like that. It's best, it's about the move. We're buying new houses, emotions, and not transfers. And perhaps that should be spelled out too, which it is, not pleasant. So we have section 3.0 on the process. 3.1 is recruitment, which is we do have. We also have 3.2 pre-employment screening. 3.3 is employee status, which will go to the exec bodies and the chiefs. 3.4 is the work week, they spell out what the work week is. And the employees get 1 hour break for lunch, it's paid. And 3.5, leaving employment. What you do, based section 4.0 is performance.
When do they work, is their work week Monday through Friday, and it's 9 hours a day, they take a lunch, an hour off a month?
Yes, all regularly scheduled employees, but they also have these fire and sanitation that are on different schedules, but that would apply as for the admin.
Right.
They also have a recreation department that hires part-time and seasonal employees, which would not apply to temporary employees. We don't have that. If we ever did have that function or capability, we would obviously need to incorporate that. Well, what we're talking about here is just normal employees. And I said, the only exempt employee right now is our convention. I'm not sure that the planning manager would be exempt from that.
Planning manager would be exempt,
What about the utilities manager?
also exempt.
Okay.
Okay, so there we got 2 other people who would actually be working 31 hours a week for a salary that ostensibly based on 40. Because they're only really working, excuse me, they yeah, units.
No, I think you've got it backwards. I think it's they work, what is currently in the policy is they work 36 hours, but they're paid 40 because we're including a 1 hour lunch break, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so 36 plus 4 is 40.
Monday through Thursday, start at 8, leave at 9, at 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's nine hours, 9 times 4 is 36, and that includes lunch hours.
So that,
And that hour lunch break was already in the 2015 handbook, we did not remove that,
Hey,
yes.
But they're paid for 40, right?
We're currently only paying our employees up to 36 hours if they work over, if the work overtime hours are calculated up to 40. And then any hours worked over 40 is one.
Oh, so 36 to 40 is overtime?
No, anything over 40 is considered overtime.
Yeah, I heard it.
But they're probably employees working this 30 hours a week.
Working over 30 hours, right? Yes.
Okay. But they're only supposed to be employed to the job classification.
Yes, but all of our employees currently work through their lunch break to meet the demands, like none of us take a lunch break right now.
Is that cause trouble?
That's against labor laws.
Yeah.
And nobody's forcing them to continue working, but like I'll sit down and ask.
If somebody files a lawsuit, it doesn't matter what happens, if that's what happened, if those two people combining lunch hours with break times and leaving early and working off the clock and stuff like that, so you see, and have a boss.
I talked to Katie about that, just confirmed her, Katie, there's no. So. I know enough to be dangerous, but I'm not really.
Well, and people just sort of free lunch breaks and all we getting breaks.
No.
You can't, I know that you could not require it to be, but they.
Well, I'm not requiring any.
Yeah, I know, yeah, I'm not saying you are, but I can just check with Katie to see if they.
I just think it's a slippery slope, we're like, yep, but we'll pay you if you work, you know, like, we're gonna pay you, I agree, it's just a slippery slope.
I just checked with Katie, so I really don't know if them voluntarily doing that violates the laws of day.
My thoughts on this, you have standards, and there will always be issues where you might have to deviate. But as a normal course of business, it should be hours in the day, here's the lunch time, here's the break times, and that's what you do. If you choose not to, and that's okay legally with them, to they do what they want. But again, it could cause trouble if somebody comes back at a later time, would you say statute on limitations 3 years, you know, just sitting on these types of matters and say, hey, look, I worked through my lunch break and all these breaks, I'm due compensation. So I can demonstrate that I worked through this. And you just, you don't need them.
They're getting paid for it. They are getting paid for it, man. That's the. I know it doesn't matter, but they are getting paid. They're not, you know, we're not paying, we're not going somewhere and then paying off for them, or they're not. You know, going on site for them, or whatever. They're just sitting at their desk going to work, eating their lunch. Maybe they're not, and they're getting, okay, but I'm taking her word for it, she said they work through lunch. And we're paying for that, so that's one thing, but I do agree that is a slippery slope.
Well, and is that what we want to do? We want that people to be lunch.
I,
And I know we said it was there since 2015, but that was 10 years ago.
I've seen multiple jurisdictions do it either way. The city of Isle Palms also includes it to also have a wellness policy if you wanted to start adopting that. So then that way people are getting outside and using the trails more, having like a health and fitness getting away for a little bit. The city of Folly each had a paid lunch hour as well, that also was incorporated in their policies. The town of Super Island had a 30-minute unpaid lunch break, so you were only paid 7.5 hours a day when you were there before.
As it is, you know, lunch, but you're not paid for it. So that's
So it
the
doesn't-
best decision we as the council needs to make.
That was the point I was about to make, yes.
Yeah.
I guess,
If there's not votes to pay people who eat lunch and pay for it, then there's not, it's wrong.
well, we can't, we have to either remove it, we have to change it, because we're adopting this as a whole document, we're not voting on individual things. That's what we're talking about right now. But we can't, but let's keep moving, when we get to that section, we'll revisit.
One, just to make sure that I encompass, so we want to flesh out the hiring and recruitment process to have the full hiring process, so like step one is specific for like, I'll use the planning manager as an example, so we want to make sure that we're applying it to the appropriate websites for the recruitment based off of the qualifications that we would like to get at. We would like to, like, not impose, but start screening our employees for like what we just, like drug tests, like outlining it, like drug testing, background checks. These are the people who are going to be conducting that.
I think it's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure that I'm ready.
I'm sure the items probably have things that are very similar. I'd be surprised if they didn't. I'll have to see. It's very simple. Let's see, say something. When we show our competitive, it says regular part-time employees are generally eligible for fringe benefits.
Yeah, what are fringe benefits?
That would be the FIBA, so the, health insurance, that would be retirement. That would be, because with the FIBA retirement, you also have empower retirement, 401k or 457B. That is not anything that the council is contributing to, that would be coming out of the own employees. Paycheck, that would be considered fringe benefits.
Okay,
What about the time off?
Yes, that
Maybe
is,
some-
because that's, put in for when you go through the annual leave policies, it differentiates between regular full-time employment and then regular part-time employment.
Yeah, it's part of it.
so,
Well, and maybe fringe benefits ought to be more clearly defined, because we do have state staff, and we also have town staff.
could we say something like include, including but not an exhaustive list, like just give examples that it includes, because I'm thinking like fringe benefits, so thought.
I think.
I get a discount at CBI, I mean, like, you know what I'm saying, like, to me, fringe benefits is a little broad, we could just give examples that it's sort of limited to our benefits package.
I think we can do it for like, like you're not just referencing other subsections, so you could reference the benefits package and then also, leave packages as well.
All right, so as long as we can point to where those, what we're talking about, I think that would,
Maybe it ought to be under a section.
in a different, that's what she's gonna do it, yeah.
We already have a subsection called benefits.
Okay,
Page 20.
are we ready to, can we move on?
Page are we on?
Okay, so page 11, I guess this was still page 11.
Are we okay with 8, 9, and 10?
Are you good? Mhm.
Yeah. I should have the meeting, but. And, all right. It says benefits page 20, but then they are. Apparently, their health insurance, retirement, workers' compensation, those are, you gotta have the compensation. We're in the people thing, we have been doing that, those are there. But we also offer paid holidays, it's town benefit.
Well, that would be two separate subsections, so we.
Well, I'm just talking about having a general ledger of benefits. We also have, sick leave. Right?
We do, that's the subsection public for leave policies for everything,
Right.
and the holidays. Is underneath wages and hours of pay.
Right, and they get it, and you don't be, put it together in benefits, like that. But it,
I personally haven't seen them underneath benefits, I've seen them as listed out here, but I'd be happy to rearrange them, I'm not tied to how the formatting is. If the council would like us to reformat it. Be happy to do so.
well, and for example, you have those, it's all under section 5 of wages compensation. Since there's all those. They really want that, they would start so, and it's very. Over to compensation, you go out and pay. Or they would. Correct. Then it's just second.
You're just saying it has one big category title, and then there could be subcategories.
Do that.
Because we're at, so I'm moving on to page 11, under inclement weather, because particularly I'm thinking like hurricane, tropical storm type closures. Maybe a snow, we have that, but not as often. But I'm also thinking about, because we're adding these new positions, the utilities manager, like, do we need to distinguish Like, are they required, like, if someone, if, let's say we give the planning manager, when we hire them a laptop, in theory, they can work from anywhere.
Yeah.
What are the restrictions? I mean, like, I've always taken them out when I work from like Storm, I've always just kind of kept it with my work. Now I didn't travel and see customers, but I guess I'm wondering, what are the parameters for that? Like, oh, we're just saying like, implement weather, don't call me, don't ask me about zoning questions, don't ask me about.
Well, we would be closed for. Completely, so town hall will not be operating, we'd be going into our municipal operating procedures and going underneath our comprehensive emergency plan. Which we will be updating so that you're underneath the. Alabama Colonial Fire Department, we were working with them to do a consolidated municipal operating centers with the town of Council. So it would be a specified. Like, we can reference that emergency plan to due to employees who are specified in the emergency operating plan. That are required to work, everybody else would be,
Yeah.
you are not working, we are closed.
Okay.
You had different sections to say like, we had a citizen information line.
Right.
And we needed to man those hours, we need to clearly define what positions are doing those hours. The time frame for those hours, but that wouldn't be in your employee policy, that would be in your emergency plan.
So I guess maybe just reference that, and that way, that, I guess those employees would be listed in that plan, so it would be. The town administrator, the planning, you know, whoever we decide that is, but I do think we should reference that somewhere else.
What I'm reading here is we are differentiating between employees whose departments are closed due to inclement weather and employees whose departments are not closed due to inclement weather.
But we don't have
Meaning-
another section that tells us who those employees are, and that's what I was saying.
Well, but they,
Facilities manager would still need to be in our.
exactly, and that would be part of his deal, that would be part of his hiring agreement.
But what I'm saying is, I didn't even know we had an emergency policy procedure.
We currently, our ordinance is about in Charleston County, hazard mitigation.
The hazard mitigation plan and the. Emergency operation plan are two different policies. Our current operating emergency operation plan hasn't been updated since. Like 2080. So it's referencing the code of ordinances to be adopted by ordinance, but it's not specifically outlined in there. So you wouldn't have, we do have one, you never put your full emergency operation plan in your code of ordinances. Because it has different emergency procedures for what our contractor needs to do for these specific.
In some form of fashion, and that's it by those roads resolution by.
It does specify, an emergency ordinance that gets adopted by the council, but like the specific plan is never put fully into your code of ordinances. Like your comprehensive plan is roughly.
Even though it's a reference to section three. Just. Can we back up this?
Well, let's just wrap up this section real quick, so let's not, so can we at least reference that plan exists and you will work on updating the old one?
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay, but we can at least reference the employees listed under blah, 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 so that covers those departments.
Mhm.
On page 9, it speaks to the political activities. This is the last sentence on the page about. Including national office, but it's the page reference to. His employment will terminate upon his election to a partisan political office. Now, obviously, that changed from someplace else because.
Right.
There are partisan political offices, but municipalities generally.
We can,
They're not, I would just say, political office, period. With Larson, it's clear, that's when you have no specifics. Or. Then this thing on page 10, it references. Workplace, posting, computer internet, use 1, 2, 3, third paragraph down, last sentence. Employees may not destroy or delete files from town computers except pursuant to the town's records and thinking policy. I didn't think we had one of those either. of that.
We follow the state archives.
Or perhaps they ought to reference that. Or we ought to have that somewhere. Actually, it all be. You know, in our code of ordinances in some form of fashion, right? So if even though we have something, but then what it does, and how you're supposed to drink that. Anyways.
So we are on page 11.
Yeah, that, well.
Now, I might add, we have 19 minutes to either finish or come up with well, we definitely need to come up with an action plan.
Okay, let's keep going.
Okay, good.
Page 12. So this is where we need to discuss the lunch, the paid meal break. We're on page 12, I guess, hours of work, second paragraph. I'm a little concerned, it says all breaks or workload permitting, because what if someone's like, I mean, what's the federal law? We have to give people breaks. Right? I mean, what if they're really working, trying to meet a deadline? No, you can't have a break. I mean, not that I believe you're doing that, I'm just saying, I think all breaks or workload permitting is a little bit of a slippery slope. Like, who's doing the permitting? Does that make sense?
I think what that sentence is trying to say is that like, all of us can't take our lunch break all at the same time and post at town hall, so like at least we would keep. During our hours of operation, we would stagger those breaks to say, okay, this is. This is when,
Should it be all breaks or schedule permitting, like
yes,
the water department takes their break at 11:30, I think that's just, I think workload, I think the term workload bothers me,
okay,
just because. Like Kent said, who knows what might happen, I'm like future thinking. And I'm still not completely sold on a paid meal break, even if it was done 10 years ago.
I agree.
Well, how would you structure that?
Now,
What's that?
right,
Okay, that's simple enough, but what I'm saying, so. You're gonna work 9 hours, you're in the office for 9 hours, you can get paid for 8.
Well, no, I mean, like when I worked in office, I worked 8 to 12. I took a break, then I worked 1 to 5. And we're open from 8 to 5.
but everybody can't do that, but that's just a schedule.
Well, I'm just, but yeah, I mean, some people might work 8 to 11:30 and, I mean, it just depends on whatever it might be that most people take their lunch break at the same time and only the administrative assistant is sort of manning the door, taking messages or whatever between 12 and 1. And then they take their break at a different time,
Some days.
which is something that she as the town administrator would work out. Those aren't the details we have to get.
Some businesses shut down plan, or even 2 in the middle of the day.
They do,
Mhm.
that's an option, It depends on what we want, what our citizens want.
I mean, I'm not uncomfortable with that. I mean, trust me, I've gone to the post office more times than not when they're closed at lunch, and I'm like. I mean, they close down from 1 to 2, I think. Right? Am I wrong?
It's odd.
It's really irritating. It's an irritating time, whatever it is. I mean, I'm not uncomfortable with that either. If they just want to have like some quiet time and shut the door and eat lunch or whatever.
We don't have an answer yet. No suggestion, yes, no, what? No,
Those are all options. I think they, I don't find all of them, they.
I just think
You don't or you do?
I just think you change the word paid to
You
unpaid.
do have. Well, there's an argument that says if you give a person a break instead of, work. Huh? Yeah, I mean, I think you're gonna get more efficiency. I think we should encourage employees to take a break. Um,
This should just be unpaid.
An hour. Right.
Just to let you know, when you do that, you're only paying them because it's Monday to Thursday, that's 4 days, you'd be paying everybody for 32 hours, so you have to. Because right now you're paying everybody for 36, so right now you'd be paying everybody for 32, so when it's from 8 to 5. 8 hours. I'm just stating that like.
Because we've established that the full-time employee is working.
36.
At that point, to me, then they have to become a 40-hour work week, so
Yes.
just
Then you
4
can-
times. To get to the 36 or paid or whatever, that, to me, that's your offset, but they have to do that. Right?
So then we'd be back open Monday through Friday instead of Monday through Thursday.
what about Monday through Thursday and then Friday morning?
That could be done.
I don't know. I wasn't, I don't know if anybody was here, Donna, you were, I guess, when the decision was made to close Fridays.
I
He was working.
Okay,
sure.
all right,
I don't understand why it's done, yes, so I can't explain. So, no. I'm with you. Doesn't make sense to me at the time.
Is there a problem with being there?
There's no problem with being open Friday. There isn't, personally, I don't get a lot of emails on Friday, we don't have a lot of town business on Fridays. But Monday through Thursday, we do get a lot of time, the phones and answering calls, like we do get a lot of stuff done Monday through Thursday. But we can't be open.
What about, we've worked Friday, but we work remotely instead of being off on Friday.
you have that option.
Right, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a planning manager and a utility manager, and I don't know what their workload is going to look like, and
We can have, it would be town. Operating hours would be. Monday through. The town is open Monday through Thursday, Friday is remote, so then from 8 to 5. The only difficulty with having that is. What are we going to do for making those employees remote, because not everybody has a cell phone. So like I have a cell phone, the utilities manager will have a cell phone, are we going to create a cell phone policy to reimburse staff for using their personal cell phones?
sure,
Are we going to have a policy for purchasing cell phones? Because we would also be subject to having all of those be foible at that time, so.
I mean, I think the planning manager should definitely have a town phone, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it both ways, where they offered me a phone, and then they offered me just like a reimbursement, a stipend.
You make a good point, it's FOIA is
Right.
involved here.
And then we would probably, if we are going to say teleworking. We would probably have to change the teleworking policy because it's the way that it's currently written is it says it's a privilege, not a right. And so it's based on a case by case basis.
Right, which I think that's still appropriate, because you would address it with each position.
It would be a little bit trickier if we're making everybody work remotely on Friday. Like, are we going to have somebody staying here on Friday? Because if we're making everybody working remote on Fridays, it would say apart from Fridays, X, Y, and Z.
No, maybe you would show that.
No.
One other thing I love, so this is off the top, that was you can't work off the top. And you write together. It says here, page 12.
I was right,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This paragraph, then employees may work off the clock, it must be approved by the same.
I was sorry, that's too good.
I don't think that's it.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think what we've discovered so far is we can either kick this can down the road further. For the further. And if we approve it, we can always amend it, right? And I'll pay to say, a resolution to this, that's on 24 hour notice. And the, only vote of the town president can look at the meeting.
Right.
Well, I only have a
I
couple
think you've
more.
given her enough evidence for things to choose, that she probably ought to know some of that, I think, one lawyer questions to her too, and bring it back once those changes are made, any other changes. I think I'd just send Catherine, like her additional comments so that she can work through all those and then back.
Well, the problem is I don't know what their comments are.
Yeah.
Well,
So
everybody,
that's why I was gonna
send me your
quickly,
comment.
I was just gonna quickly send, I was just gonna quickly go through mine, just on page 13. I think under performance evaluations, the town will conduct oral and written evaluations on an annual basis,
Absolutely.
not may. I think that's good for the town. I think it's good for the employee, especially if they are wanting to step up or. The other question I have is on page 17, and maybe this is a government thing. Why don't we do PTO? Because it gets really complicated when you're doing time and sick leave. With accumulating hours and then if the person leaves. Is there a reason government doesn't just use a PTO number?
Well, no, some municipal governments do use PTO policy, this was still the current policy that we had, I didn't. MRB, myself, or attorneys didn't change this policy, if you would like to just combine it all into one PTO leave.
What do you think, Matt? Or I know you're not an employment guy, but I'm just saying, what do you see across municipalities?
It really depends on the municipality. We had an HR consultant come out to Kiel recently, and like they apparently have like the most generous PTO policies in the municipality, and carry over a bunch of sick leave and it adds on to their paid time off. Other folks have less, like there's all sorts of different, it's the paid time off stuff, it just depends on its policy, so regardless of how much you want to do. Because the idea that you entice folks, and the longer you're there, and more years, the more top PTO you get, you carry over. Just like,
I also had questions of why full-time staff and part-time staff are given the same. Like sick leave, if they're part-time, do they really get as much sick leave as a full-time staff?
That's
Yeah.
probably,
And then this, again, these are just questions I have, I don't have,
it's probably just all over how it's been.
That's so public for how the benefit of their policy decision.
So the way I see it done, the way it was done, probably that work for us. Part-timers get some time off, but there's fewer days, right? They get less vacation, things like that.
But everybody gets the same paid days off, and it's off.
Yeah.
Days off.
Yeah, obviously.
Which is not 11. They get 11 paid days off, and there's count.
But the part-timer, you know, maybe the whole-timer gets like this vacation, the part-timer gets 2 weeks or whatever it is, to be. It's to me, it should make like 2 matters. And then
I agree with that too.
Again, this is just a question I have on page 19, it says town employees are currently not entitled to rights under the FMLA Act. Well, when do they become entitled? Is that a council decision or?
No, that's how many employees that you have. So
Okay.
currently right now, this is not that I'm really eligible,
What is that number?
I believe 15, but I'd have to triple check.
Okay, so even if we got positions, we're still not there. Okay.
Perhaps I'll say it's. Because they that. Because workforce is not this and that, we're not hired in this,
Right.
then I didn't. You see it not, that state like that, so you go back.
Well, because the statement above it is saying for like the unpaid leave absence, so it's describing essentially FMLA, but it's stating that we are not subject to FMLA, but we are still offering that protection.
That's not you, yeah, I think I remember.
Like, that was related to the, because we removed the grievance procedure, because we were such a small municipality that. large municipalities have, that kind of outline of that procedure, but the FMLA is not mentioned.
And then on page 21, under item A, kind of in the middle of the page, I think we should add some sort of verbiage that talks about like finance or frauds. Especially because we're dealing with taxpayer funds. Like right now, we don't. I mean, I know we would, but I'm just saying that it's not specifically.
Probably covered that, possession or removal, misappropriation, misuse, obstruction, theft, or conversion of town property, property coverage. Until sounds, routes. Just.
Maybe add a word.
Yeah.
I guess when I think of property, I think of like. The truck or the, you know, like, I mean, maybe in the legal sense that encompasses that, but maybe just add a word. And then I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, so, how are we proceeding? It's not urgent that we approve this tonight, right?
There are a lot of edits that we discussed that I've had to bring back to the attorneys.
Okay,
I think the best course of action would be to defer it
okay,
to whatever the council would like to have, if it's to the next meeting, or if it's to a call meeting, or how the council would like to decide it. But I would do that at 7:30. It's to defer it to another meeting until I get these.
right.
Can we defer it to the next administrative meeting or ways and means, because that's, so that was the other question, when you were presenting the HR package. Does that need to be reviewed under administrative? Is it technically talking about this? But it also falls under ways and means because we're gonna be amending the budget.
So-
You would be discussing it, but you wouldn't be voting on it. It would still have to be to the council's, like, under the council's head.
So maybe we can
Okay.
do that in September.
So right now, it's item 36 on our agenda for tonight. So we can make it an item for the agenda next month.
Yes.
And how about if we have a meeting like this before that to just follow up and review?
You can do that.
Cool.
If y'all want Katie to, if she's in a break of office, but she could pop on this and concern the people, could have an executive session for all our questions about it too. Employment, like I said, is not, I'm not expert on.
Well, like I said, most of mine were just questions that Catherine has an HR background in, and she might be able to massage the verbiage.
Policy decisions to propose to the questions, like, we're taking around, sure, so I think we better do this. I need to check whenever that next meeting is. Follow.
Okay. That's the plan. Call for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, we're adjourned.